I want you to think about the last time that you had an argument with someone you care about. How did that go? Did it get resolved, or did it leave you more frustrated and possibly with more issues, having to revisit that again later on to most likely communicate in the exact same way? As students, partners, friends, coworkers, we are constantly communicating. How we do so impacts absolutely everything in our lives. It impacts who we are, who we surround ourselves with, how things do or don't get done. Knowing how to communicate properly can literally make or break our relationships. In this video, I'll be exploring how communication styles impact conflict resolution and how we can improve the way we show up within those kinds of interactions for ourselves and for the people that we're interacting with. Assertive communication is the most effective way to handle conflict, while passive-aggressive and passive-aggressive styles often build into misunderstanding, distance, or emotional harm. It doesn't lead to anything that's positively impacting your life. We'll look at the problem, where it comes from, and what we can do about it. Communication affects literally everything. School, work, family, dating, relationships with ourselves. Conflicts often don't get resolved because of how we communicate, not because of the issue is unresolvable, which I think that is often a mistake that we make, where we're thinking, this is too hard, or this can't be resolved, this is too complicated, when really we're making it complicated by the way that we aren't communicating. Most of the time, you can find some kind of resolution if you're able to communicate. According to Kupak and Canary, 2000, poor communication can create unresolved conflict, emotional distance, and relational dissatisfaction. It affects you directly. How many of you have walked away from a conversation thinking, that's not what I meant, that doesn't make me feel good, that's not what I expected to happen? And maybe you're thinking about that on your end. Maybe you're not even thinking about how they reacted, but how you reacted and the things that you said. Maybe you might be wishing that you did say something that you didn't say, that you spoke more loudly about your own thoughts or feelings. There's so many different regrets that you can have if you don't properly communicate in a way that makes you feel good and heard, and hopefully makes the other person feel good and heard as well. Assertive communication is direct but respectful. You speak the truth, but you also listen to someone else's truth. According to Canary and Lakey, 2013, this builds cooperation and leads to healthier outcomes. I've definitely noticed when I speak more clearly or calmly, people feel safer about being honest with me, and I feel safer about being honest with them, and honestly even honest with myself. I feel like I'm able to hold myself more accountable when I'm in this kind of interaction. And it feels way better than the other communication styles that I'm about to mention. So we have passive communication, which just avoids conflicts altogether. You stay quiet even when you're upset about something. That often tends to build up later on and leads to more frustration or feeling unseen or unheard. Kupak and Canary, 2000, say this leads to unresolved issues. I used to think that staying quiet kept the peace, but all it did was make me resentful and distance myself from the individuals that I didn't want to distance myself from. Aggressive communication often involves blaming, yelling, using anything that you can to gain control and to keep that control, often belittling the person that you're interacting with, and let's be real, belittling yourself. This often escalates into tension and just makes things worse. I've interacted with individuals who use this style, and you just don't solve anything. Mohammed et al. 2023 found that aggressive communication increases interpersonal conflict in student environments. And I mean, we know that it's impacting a lot more than just student environments. Like I had mentioned, it's impacting every part of your life, even with the way that you communicate with yourself. Then we have passive-aggressive communication, which is indirect, sarcastic. You're not actively speaking your feelings or your thoughts, but you are presenting them in another way, whether that is sarcasm or resentment, or maybe I'm not going to do this because they didn't do that. It just creates mistrust and confusion, not just with the people you're interacting with, but with yourself. I feel like you start to be unsure of how you actually feel about something. Erginilli et al. 2011 links it with long-term unresolved tension. I used to communicate in this way, and sometimes still do, but I have noticed since I have been working on my assertive communication, my relationships have gotten closer, and I have become more loving and comfortable with myself and other people around me. So, assertive communication is not a skill. I mean, it's a skill, but it's not a personality trait. It's not something that you're just born with. You're taught this, and it's practiced. Fitzpatrick and Ritchie, 2002, found that family training programs improve clarity and empathy, which is absolutely true. And it's not just official programs like therapy, which are extremely helpful, have definitely taught me a lot in leading towards assertive communication. But there's also the programs like your family, your friends, the group that you hang out with at school, your work. It's everybody that you involve into your life. How are they contributing to that communication? Because we often learn things from examples. So maybe we learn it from our parents, or maybe we learn it later on in life. Mendes 2024 showed that Brazilian workplaces with assertive training had less tension and more trust. I think that goes pretty consistent across the board, that assertive communication keeps us true to ourselves in every interaction. So what assertive communication looks like is using I statements. You're taking responsibility within that conversation. This is how I feel. This is how this made me feel. This is what I'm thinking. So that you're not placing that onto somebody else, which is most likely going to create defensiveness. You just need to listen actively and don't interrupt when they're talking. You both deserve to say your truth, and hopefully if you both do so, you're able to keep an open mind and come to a mutual resolution. So just be clear about your needs without being disrespectful, forceful, closed-minded, because then you're not actually communicating if you're just talking to yourself. Assertiveness doesn't always work in all cultures, though. Canary and Lakey agree that in some cultures, assertiveness is seen as disrespectful. So you just need to make sure that you understand who you're confronting. What is their culture? What is their background? Where are they with their emotional intelligence? These are all different and separate factors that can lead to different kinds of communication styles. So it's important for us to not just understand our communication style, but to also understand the people that we're interacting with and how they communicate. So assertiveness communication just leads to better conflict outcomes, better than passive-aggressive or passive-aggressive styles. And I think I was pretty clear on why here. So why UVU students should care, or anybody at all, is because better communication equals better group projects, stronger relationships, healthier boundaries in every aspect of your life, not just school. We're all learning how to live with people. Learning this allows us to be more aware of our own communication style and how they impact our interpersonal relationships. So I encourage you to start just noticing your style. Pay attention. Are you avoiding? Are you attacking? Maybe you are assertive, and that's great. But I would just say let's challenge ourselves to speak up. But do it with respect and openness, not just for the person that you're interacting with, but with yourself. If you're able to communicate this way, not only are you going to make people feel more comfortable with you, you're going to make yourself more comfortable. And so that's why I'd say learning how to handle conflict within interpersonal relationships is so important. It's a huge part of your life, and I think the moment that we're able to realize that and really learn from it, it'll make things a lot better for us. Thank you.